Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance because you tuned in consciously and conscientiously to Eye on Las Vegas with your humble host, Barry Shore, known as the Ambassador of Joy. Now, you notice I didn't say the Ambassador of Joy. It's the Ambassador of Joy. And you tuned in consciously and conscientiously because you know that on this show, we talk about some of the most amazing, wonderful, expressive, boundless people that you'll ever meet anywhere. And today, I'm just so happy to have somebody with us who is the epitome of what we call conscious capitalism. She makes things happen in such a beautiful way, and she brings goodness to the world. So what I'm going to do is just mention two things to you. This is called Eye in Las Vegas. If you mention Las Vegas to anybody around the world, they'll say, wow, Las Vegas, I want to go there. I've been there. I love it. I want to give you a data point. If you take the entire population of New York City and all of its environs, the entire population of Chicago and everything around it, the entire population of Los Angeles, everything around it, add it all together, it doesn't equal the number of people that come to Las Vegas in a year. 41 million people come here in the course of a year. And they come here because it's a place of freedom, of expression, of fun, and joy and happiness. And you're about to meet and embrace one of the most joyful, amazing, upbeat people you'll ever have the chance. And her name is wonderful Nancy Gale. Nancy, please say hello to 501,613 people around the world.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, Nancy, if I start telling you all the things that she is and does, it would take the rest of the show. I'm going to give you just a few data points, and then we'll just keep going forward and jump right in and tell people how amazing and wonderful you are. She is, and those of you, by the way, who are watching, you don't need me to tell you this. She's beautiful on the outside and the inside. Those of you who are going to be listening to her voice, you'll understand right away because she's a heart-centered individual. She is an award-winning designer of what we'll call it bags and handbags and totes and luggage and such. And she's a passionate activist in the world. She brings goodness to the world. So with that as just our jumping off point, wonderful Nancy, first of all, a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much. One of her companies is called JAMAH, JAMAH, JAMAH. Another thing we're going to be talking about is a group she started recently called Ambition.org. But let's just start with JAMAH. JAMAH it's such a wonderful company because it's built around American principles, which are quality, long-lasting, fun, and sexy. So tell us, please, how the heck did you get involved? You're now in the business 25 years. What is it all about?
So my aim, and I think Monday, the 20th, was our 25th anniversary. My goal was to become known as the first true super luxe handbag brand made in the USA. And there are certainly talented people making bags here. I think what we've done, though, is really cross the threshold of having real brand identity. And for me, it was just so important because, for so long, I always thought, why are all the really high-end luxe fashion brands all kind of reserved for Europe? And over time, what I discovered is, we use very different words here than you find in Europe. So the first time I visited an atelier in France, I thought to myself, oh, this is so interesting. We do the same thing, but they use these beautiful words: curate, atelier, craftsmanship. And we do the same thing in the US, but we say words like manufacturing, production, and factory.
Oh, I want to put you on pause for a moment because you just cut through so much. Words make a difference, don't they?
Big difference, yes.
It's called image, right?
Yes.
Oh, Nancy, this is so fascinating right on the beginning because, again, we're dealing with a worldwide audience. And let's be blunt. English is the lingua franca, it's the common language of the world.
Yes.
Therefore, it's important to create, as you do with your quality super luxe product,
Mhm.
that which goes along with it. So if you say manufactured USA, it's very nice. It's a good data point. It's not the words that you use. So let's go back again and I want to be evocative.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. And I realized this is so interesting. How is it? I live in a country, and at the time when I was younger, I lived in Detroit for about a decade, my formative years, from 7 to 17, and the Motor City was thriving, and this was in the late 80s and or the 70s and 80s, and it was the height of economic prosperity, and anywhere you looked, you saw that type of craftsmanship in the Motor City, in architecture. And it just seemed like everything but fashion design. So that sort of, I think that just stuck with me. And I eventually, through a sort of series of moves outside, once I graduated college, I realized I want to be in the fashion industry, and I want to be the first true American luxury handbag brand that really has staying power, that really means something. And I would say of the 25 years, about 2-3 years ago, we hit that mark. And one of the things that I did about 3.5 years ago, which has been game changing, is I launched what we call the JAMAH motor car collection. And I'm doing the really.
Let's be blunt. You just mentioned Motor City. And by the way, that's very fascinating. I want to share this with people around the world. People today in the year 2025, when they think of Detroit, they don't tend to think of Detroit as fashion forward, as elegant, as successful, prosperous city, because it's been through so much.
Mhm.
However, at the time when you're describing, it was one of the most successful cities on the planet.
Yes.
Now, to be able for you to bring back elegance with automotive, and I'll mention a couple names, let's say Ferrari, McLaren, these kind of Bugatti, these kinds of places that where JAMAH really stands out, right?
Yes. And it was so interesting because of course there's a lot of connection with fashion and cars. And you can, of course, you can buy a Porsche, and there's a private label bag. You can buy your Porsche bag. But this idea that I had, and it was just crazy when I discovered it's never been done, was to make a bag that would reflect your car. And the key is that when the bag is away from the car, it's just got to be a kick-ass bag. It just has to be a beautiful bag. And so, and I can do a variety of levels with it. I have some people that say I want it really subtle. I want the connection to be very subtle. So we'll copy, for instance, the quilting on the inside of a door, and we'll put that just on the inside facing of a bag. Someone else might say, no, I want it to be clear as day that this is a bag that goes with my Bentley. So it's been fascinating. And what's been really incredible is I've built these unbelievable relationships with my clients. And from that, we've, when you mentioned ambition earlier, I'll sort of bring that up for a moment here. So Ambition is an entrepreneurial program for disadvantaged teenagers. And I've married it with the company, not in the sense where you buy a bag and we'll donate to Ambition, but where the success of JAMAH gives us the bandwidth to run Ambition. And then everyone who works for me at JAMAH volunteers for Ambition. So it's super cohesive. And now my motor car clients are starting to not only donate to our scholarship fund, but mentor some of our students. So it's this really cohesive, just fun, exciting connection between all the things that I do. So I feel really fortunate because everything I love is sort of wrapped up in everything I do.
So let's add another C or two C's to your cohesive. We call it conscious capitalism.
Mhm.
In other words, what you practice, what you have done is to raise up capitalism so that it's conscious and aware of all the stakeholders, everybody involved,
Mhm.
and be able to use the flow of capitalism to create, like you said, a cohesive situation that fuels ambition and youth. Now, by the way, I want to share with you one of the things we do in our show is we talk a lot about energy, freedom, and persistence and resilience. And I want to
Mhm.
just mention to you that we use words, like you mentioned before about
Mhm.
using words to describe. We use a lot of acronyms. I created an acronym for JAMAH. Would you
Okay.
like to hear the acronym
Yes.
for JAMAH?
I have a feeling it starts with joy.
Joy. I love you. Joy awakens, manifesting abounding happiness.
Oh my goodness. That just couldn't sum us up any better.
That,
I
but
love it. Thank you.
that's all because you used that word before. You are evocative of what things are. You are transcending this regular use of speech and making it palpable in what you design. So let's explore any one particular idea, let's say about you, resilience in
Mhm.
25 years. Because let's be
Mhm.
blunt, you didn't do this and 3 years later, hey, look at this, she's the star of the world. It
Yes.
took time. How do you
Yes.
go through that decade?
You know, I think just my motto really in life, or my kind of my platform is you just keep pressing forward. And sometimes, people say, well, we have these setbacks, but they're still all part of the forward momentum. And I've been through, it's so interesting because you look at my life, and on one hand, I mean, I've had an amazing life. I've been so fortunate. I've also, um, faced a few challenges, probably challenges that people don't expect when they see me. I definitely, I still, even with those challenges, I still, well, people say you see the world through rose-colored glasses, and I say the world is rose-colored. I don't
Wait a
need the
minute, wait a minute.
glasses.
Let's repeat that for the world. Okay. Again, we have a listening audience that is
Mhm.
around the world.
Mhm.
And most people that listen, they're under the age of 30,
Mhm.
85%,
Mhm.
more women than men. And I can tell you almost to a person, because we get lots and lots of text and messages and emails. Everybody loves the spirit of America,
Mhm.
the
Yes.
challenges that come with freedom. They all want that. So you're right. You have been through stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I definitely have. On one hand, right, I've been through some of the most amazing stuff. I've found myself in the most amazing situations. I've met the most incredible people. Um, but I've had a few experiences that most have not had. And but I can take those experiences, and I can either say they're going to define me and pull me down, or I'm going to see what I can take from that to move forward, because the choice is mine. In
Oh,
fact,
oh, did you
right.
all hear that? She uses the C word again. One of the six most important words that anybody could ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life are choice,
Choice.
not chance, determines your destiny. On that
Ah,
high note, wonderful Nancy, we have a sponsor that loves our show, and we're going to go to a quick break. We'll be right back with more Nancy Gale, more JAMAH, ambition, resilience. On the other side of this message, only a minute. Don't go away. You're going to thank us.
What if you could shop at your favorite local stores, swipe your current credit card, and get extra cashback rewards? And what if you could also have donations sent to your favorite cause at no extra cost to you? What if this amazing program was absolutely free and very simple to set up? Well, What If is here. Welcome to Einstein Cares, where your everyday shopping gives you and your favorite cause extra money. It's fast, it's easy, and effortless.
good day. Beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding good. We found good in abundance. Our cup runneth over with good. Her name is Nancy Gale. She's the owner, the designer, the founder, the driving force of an amazing brand called JAMAH. It's a super luxe brand made in the United States of America that is so evocative of you. YOU. And that's what this show's about. As amazing as Nancy is, or fabulous Barry, it's all about you and you becoming the best you. And we're talking now about challenges that wonderful Nancy has gone through in 25 years of being out there, a bold entrepreneur, and what she's doing with a group that she founded called ambition.org, which really is it's a nonprofit entrepreneurial program for disadvantaged youth. So let's talk about resilience and see how we can move that into you recognizing how can you help others, because that's part of your life. Your life is about being a benefit and a beacon to others.
So probably 10 years or so into JAMAH, or earlier, but when I started becoming really serious about it, I kept thinking, gosh, my clients, my life, I've had a lot of access. I've had a lot of exposure. And I always say, right, it's not the money that separates the haves and the have-nots. It's the access and the exposure. And I grew up at the ideal dinner table. And I always would think to myself, what happens to you if you don't grow up at my dinner table? Where do you get that access? Where do you get that exposure? So that became the foundation for what I now call Ambition, which is my nonprofit. And as you said, it's an entrepreneurial program for disadvantaged youth. We work with teenagers, primarily juniors and seniors in high school. And February 22nd will be 15 years, which is just mind-blowing. And I've had the privilege of, it's a mentor-driven program. So we're with our students every week, and from September to June. And I've had the privilege of, being on the sidelines of these incredible young people who now, many of our students are almost 30 years old, which is just amazing. And so one of the things that's really important to us that we've learned in these years with our students is if you do not know them, you cannot teach them. So that's just, and it's interesting because people will come to me with all these really great ideas for programming. It doesn't matter if it's financial literacy, if it's advertising, if it's filmmaking. Again, if we don't know them, we cannot teach them. If we don't understand the dinner tables that they are going to sit at every evening, we don't really have, I think, even the right to try to teach them until we take the time to get to know them. And that doesn't happen in one sitting. So we started a program called You Don't Know About Me. And we do that all fall. That's all we do. And what You Don't Know About Me is, it's a leadership program, ultimately. In a nutshell, we spend the whole semester, again, every single week. We have about 15, 20 mentors in class with that align with about 20 or 30 students. And we spend the fall just in these amazing conversations. And by the holidays, the students get on camera and do what we call their official You Don't Know About Me. What that means is they announce their greatest challenge with power, not pity. And then most importantly, they share how they got through or are getting through it. Because we're in a society now where everybody's complaining. I want to see how people are progressing. That's what I need my students to see. And then after you've shared how you've gotten through your greatest challenge and you're holding on to that power, not pity, you then throw out a humble flex. So it's a way that these kids get to, we give them some bragging rights. We also show that we are always two things at once. In the worst of times, the midst of our challenges, we can still be the happy, thriving people that we are. And I feel as though this is such a great space for our students, because I feel as though we've gotten to a point in society, right, where you are one or the other. And I know for me, I am always both. So I'll give you my, I have a few you don't know about me's, but the one I always start with, which I'm so thankful for my, thankful might not be the right word, but because we're two things at once, and because I've been through many challenges, but I want to live my life thriving. What happens with the You Don't Know About Me is it connects you to the students in a way that is just absolutely game changing, because they look at all the mentors and don't think we've gone through anything that's close to what they've been through.
I'm laughing only because people who know my story and such.
Yes.
And thank God we urge you, follow us on Spotify and Apple, and share this with 5 people. If you want to share with 50 or 100, that's okay. At least 5. Most people know that Barry Shore was standing up in the morning 20 years ago, and in the evening he was completely, totally paralyzed. And it was not from an automobile accident or a spinal injury. It was a rare disease, took over my body, and I was completely, totally paralyzed from the neck down. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes, and that lasted for years. Now, thank God today I'm much better, moving around. I still can't get up from this chair if you're watching and such like that. However, Nancy is giving us a fundamental of life. Everybody is going through a battle you know nothing about.
Exactly. And our students, when they start to see that connection, so my You Don't Know About Me that I always start the year with is that a little over 10 years ago, my mother was murdered in a home invasion. But I didn't let it crush me. Instead, I moved forward in life, carrying my mom's will and enthusiasm and excitement. And all of that eventually led us to the man who was responsible. And now we are in a place that he's away, and it taught me a lot about forgiveness and about constitution. And now I get to share everything my mom was with my students. And so that's, again, where people would say to me all the time, well, you have to grieve, and, you can be sad and you can cry. And, you can't be happy all the time. And I always would say, no, I'm always happy, Nancy. No one will ever take that away from me. Happy Nancy might be grieving right now and challenged some days, but I will always be happy, Nancy.
Okay. Happy Nancy. I made some time during our break to create an acronym for your name. May I share it with you?
Yes, please.
Nancy, Nancy. It has to do with ambition, the organization. Nurturing, aware, noble, caring youth.
Oh, gosh, that's beautiful.
Well, that's who you are. It didn't come out. It only came out because that's who Nancy is. You are nurturing people who are awake, who want to be noble, who are caring, young people.
I love it. Thank you.
It's you. It's so wonderful. I want to shift a little bit to the bags, because people do like names and dropping names and things like that. Can you tell us 2 or 3 people that are clients that are, quotation marks, sort of world renowned, just because I think it helps make a difference to people, then they lean in and listen?
So we've Brad Pitt, Channing Tatum, Angelina Jolie, Jessica Alba.
Okay, so real people. Everybody hear all that?
But I'll tell you, the car world, that's been a blast. And that's a whole different kind of celebrity.
Okay, it's so interesting you say that, because I recently was here in the CES show, the Consumer Electronics Show here in Las Vegas, and I stopped into the McLaren showroom, and I did a video with some of the people, and they'll be coming on to Eye in Las Vegas pretty soon.
Oh,
and it's just what you do fits so well into the car world because it is individual, it is super luxe, it is fun. And let's be blunt.
Mhm.
It's what I call the four-letter FU word. FU, capital N, fun.
Fun.
So it's really special. What you've done is you've blended cause and commerce,
Mhm.
like what we call conscious capitalism. So when did this come into your mind, by the way, that you saw what you do with the bags as a mechanism for reaching out beyond not manufacturing, creating these remarkable, beautiful products, and understanding that, something, I can actually help other people because of what I've been through. When did
You
that
know,
really, I mean, you told me it was 10 years, but
probably about 2006 or 7. Remember, there was this big influx of cause marketing. And not to be critical, but for me, what that always read like was take your company, find a cause, any cause, act like you care to sell product.
act like you care to sell product,
Yes.
right?
And in fact, and even with Made in the USA at that time, a lot of people really didn't care about Made in the USA. So it's such that there's been such a beautiful shift. But what I realized was, sort of going back to what I said earlier, instead of this buy a bag and we'll donate, what I felt like the mattered to me was, again, building this brand that could help serve what mattered to me. And it had to be just what mattered to me because it's my brand. And then I would hire people that are connected with that and where that matters to them as well. So I thought, I'm just going to build a really successful brand that gives me the bandwidth to then do what I can with ambition. And so that was probably 2006 or 7. And then the first time we were in a classroom was February 22nd, 2010. And I just sort of, it's funny, it iterates a lot too, because everything new that happens with JAMAH becomes another way that we can work with ambition. But the pinnacle is seeing someone who buys a bag for their car and then comes to a class. Like that for me is like all the pieces are coming together. So I think, and in fact, it was interesting at one point, I was having conversations about possibly getting funding for JAMAH years ago, and people would say, we don't want to hear about this nonprofit thing. We don't want your time going there. And once you have the certain amount of success, then you do that on your own. And I said, firstly, it's going to be a long time before I have that success. I know it because of what I'm building. And at the same, how long are these kids that need us supposed to wait?
Right.
Like until I have 7 homes and 9 cars, and I just want to do that. On my worst day, I have it better than these kids. So it's time to just get this all started together and build a brand. And actually, this is so interesting. What's amazing with JAMAH and ambition is we're also trying to get our students to understand that capitalism does not equal greed.
On the contrary.
Right? Exactly. And that money is a tool, and it's you work and also we want to talk about the joy of hard work. You work really hard and then you get a paycheck and you get to spend it any way you want. That's a beautiful thing. And interestingly, with our students, they often say, they're sort of trained now to hate capitalism, to think it's ugly. And then they say the first thing they want to do is buy their mom a home. And I said, but you can't, you have to have money to do that. And we can build beautiful businesses with amazing people to be able to ultimately fund that home that you want to build. And we don't want them to be offended by stuff, because I can tell you, and the car world has been amazing, how it's a lot of self-made people that gives so much. And yes, they do crazy things all over the world, and they can buy cars and homes, but they give a lot. And so our students get
This is
to,
so critical. Let me unpack something
Mhm.
for the audience. The genius of capitalism, the genius is that it's rooted foundationally and fundamentally in the G word, giving.
Mhm.
Givers live the best. Givers live well. And anybody who's achieved some measure of what other people call success, that doesn't just become, well, yes, I also give. It's on contrary. It's fundamental to their being.
That's
People are
so well
givers.
said.
And that's who Nancy is. Her G stands for giving.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm sorry to use the words I'm about to say. We're coming to a close in our time together. So I have 3 quick questions for you,
Okay.
wonderful Nancy Gale. Are you ready?
What's that?
Number 1, will you come back again?
Absolutely.
Woo! Number 2, Nancy Gale, founder, owner, designer of JAMAH and the driving force of ambition.org. What is your most fervent desire?
Oh, to just keep growing in this world, to just continue, like to wake up the way I wake up now, to just continue to be able to do that.
You hear that, everybody? Imagine everybody, not every, even every 2% of the 8 billion people in the world, 160 million people getting out of bed every morning saying, I want to grow, I want to give, I want to go forward. Being a Nancy Gale. Yeah. And number 3, may I give you a hug in front of 508,000 people around the world?
Absolutely.
Let me tell you what hug stands for. Ready?
Uh-huh.
Heartfelt, unlimited giving.
Ah.
That's a hug. 1, 2, 3. And again, you want everything you want to know about Nancy and Ambition and JAMAH. It's in the show notes. Just go there. Remember to love us on Spotify and Apple. Share those with 5 people. And a blessing from Nancy and Barry. Go forth. Live exuberantly. Spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Nancy, don't go away.